of what this would look like for someone who is up on top of this building. As you can see, they had just a wide open view of this ICE facility.
And my source early on said that it did appear that they were targeting, the person was targeting that ICE van with the detainees, and the detainees were the target.
In an earlier interview, Noah Jahn told NBC News that his brother was not particularly political and didn't have strong feelings about ICE as far as I knew. John's voter info shows that he was not registered to any political party. Anti-ICE on the bullet casing. Give me a break. And the FBI posting this within like minutes of being on the scene.
Us, they found shell casings near the suspected shooter with the phrase anti-ICE.
This is just like left is best. No leftist has ever said anti-ICE. I have no indication that he's from the right. All we know is the facts that he was targeting detainees, which is weird that he would be anti-ICE and target detainees, and that his brother says he is apolitical. So I only operate on facts, unlike right-wingers. Now, let's talk about the sniper from this morning at the ICE facility.
That's right, Chris. Right behind me, you can actually see federal.
My name is Justin.
There's even more in the back of this ICE office. That's because this is where that deadly shooting took place, where one detainee was killed and 2 others critically injured.
Just before dawn Wednesday, what started off as a police response to an officer assist quickly changed.
Just be advised, it's still active shooter. There's a sniper on the roof. Have everybody stay for very, very far locations.
Dallas police say a gunman opened fire at the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement Office
and killed detainees.
Freeway I-35E.
It was very, very dark.
This man, who did not want to be identified, says he lives in this building right across the freeway. He says after hearing 2 shots, he ran out on the balcony.
He would shoot. He would wait 10 seconds. Maybe 15 seconds.
Morgan Gal, welcome in.
According to a statement from ICE officials, the shooter fired at the building, including at a transport van in the Sallyport. They say 3 detainees who were inside the van were shot. DPD Chief Daniel Como.
The DPD was able to locate the shooter, who was deceased. We're going to be working this investigation shoulder to shoulder with our federal partners.
ICE officials say the shooter died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Dallas FBI field office.
Hey now, warlord, he didn't have terrible aim with that last shot. Now this I find it hard to believe. Anti-ICE on the bullet casing. Give me a break. And the FBI posting this within like minutes of being on the scene.
Us, they found shell casings near the suspected shooter with the phrase anti-ICE.
This is just like left is best. No leftist has ever said anti-ICE.
Engraved on it.
There will be no resource not utilized to bring all those individuals who are responsible to bring them to justice and to hold them accountable.
I can imagine that was terrifying.
Authorities tell us no law enforcement members were injured in this shooting, and as they continue their investigation, Dallas Mayor Eric Johnson turns focus to the victims and their families.
Please join me in praying for the families of the folks who lost their lives today.
And we're still working to learn more about the detainee who was killed and the 2 others who were injured, as well as the suspect, 29-year-old Joshua Jahn. But for now, we'll send it over to our Jason Wheeler, who's taking a look at just how did the shooter get access to this point.
Yeah, Brittany, thank you for that. I want to start us off here on the map with the wide view. This is downtown Dallas that you're seeing over here. And we'll go first to Dallas Love Field because I think a lot of us know where that is, and it's a good starting point just to give you your bearings. About 1.6 miles southwest of Dallas Love Field is that ICE facility that we are talking about where that shooting took place earlier today. And I want to draw your attention to this building, these law offices directly behind that ICE facility. This is is where officers say those shots were fired from today.
He shot from a law office.
Vantage
Beautiful.
point here of what this would look like for someone who is up on top of this building. As you can see, they had just a wide open view of this ICE facility. And again, this was just after we had seen the first light of day. So this parking lot would have lights in it and so forth. This person would have been probably very hard for anyone to have seen on top of that building there. Let's go and give you sort of this overhead view here. This is how the shots would have been fired, just straight across this parking lot. Zero obstructions here getting in the way. This is a pretty good distance, though, that we're talking about here, estimated by the maps at about 500 feet. But of course, those bullets finding their intended targets at the end of this parking lot here. Want to bring your attention to this as well, just because this is called Track Reports. This was started by Syracuse University many years ago, where they sort of put together this ICE detention capacity and activity. And as you can see, Texas has become a real hotbed for ICE activity and detention centers. And this doesn't even include the largest one in Fort Bliss that will accommodate up to 5,000 detainees. It just opened a couple of months ago. And
all these concentration camps.
Texas has the most ICE detainees. This is as of September of this year, so very recent. They list Texas with 13,000 detainees right now, almost as much as the next 3 states combined. So for anyone who might have been interested, Chris and Izzy and Rebecca, in targeting either ICE agents or detainees, Texas is a very target-rich environment for that.
And we'll get to that in a moment. But as our senior political reporter, our senior crime and justice reporter, your areas of expertise are merging in a troubling way.
Rebecca, I mean, without divulging your specific sources, but how did you first get word that this had taken place, and what have you learned in the hours since?
Well, so I got a text message from a source early on this morning saying you need to get out to the ICE facility. There have been multiple people shot. At the time, they thought that there might be snipers. They were very concerned. They couldn't get Dallas Fire Rescue into that area immediately to transport the victims because they didn't know, there were still shots being fired. And so they transported the victims, DPD, in their squad cars. And then we learned, obviously, that there was just one sniper. Dallas police actually used drones to go over the rooftops where they believe that there might be, where the shooter might be. And obviously, they found the shooter with that self-inflicted gunshot wound. And so early on, I was told that there were 3 victims and that at least 1 or 2 of them had died. And obviously my source was pretty accurate on all that information. And again, a lot of concern for were there any law enforcement officers that were injured at that time? And now we know that there weren't. And my source early on said that it did appear that they were targeting, the person was targeting that ICE van with the detainees, and the detainees were the target.
The detainees
the motive was he
were the target.
Hit the detainees, or was he shooting in there to hit any of the potential law enforcement?
So not ICE.
How long could it take before, how many questions need to be answered before you reach a motive?
Well, a lot, Cynthia. They're going right now through every single aspect of this suspect's life. Their social media, interviewing family, friends. Did they say anything? Were there ever indications? Did anybody try to call law enforcement prior to any of this? Were there any warning signs that, somebody could have figured out that he was planning this attack? And it clearly looks like he planned that attack. That wasn't just somebody that randomly picked a rooftop and just started shooting. That person knew what they were doing and what time perhaps those vans were going in and out of that facility.
And Jason, you just touched on how this state is more of a target because of the larger number of detainees. Are these threats becoming more common?
Yeah, Fox News had a report on this with the federal government just in July, at the end of July, and they were estimating at that time that just between January, when President Trump took office, and the end of July, that ICE had seen an increase of almost 700% in assaults on ICE officers. That sounds like a huge percentage, so you do have to qualify that by saying it was just a handful in the year prior, and so that percentage is going to go up really fast if you have some increased incidents there. But it does give you an indication that as this federal government, as ICE has gotten a lot more active and a lot more aggressive in taking people into custody, we have seen also an increase in those number of incidents where people are pushing back. and doing things like this as well. But again, here we don't know exactly who this person was targeting, and some of these pictures, like of the bullets, get out there way in front of what the investigation is able to provide us.
It was the FBI director himself.
Methodically and determine for sure who exactly this person was targeting.
And Justin, I want to add a little bit to that, because typically, and I have covered a lot of these types of shootings, the FBI usually doesn't release anything. They certainly don't release pictures of any kind of evidence. This is one of the first times that I've actually seen them so early on very quickly release what is potential evidence.
They did it with the Charlie Kirk shooter.
Very much at all. They'll just say it's an ongoing investigation, give us some really basic facts and move on. The fact that this was tweeted out so early by the FBI director is very interesting.
By a podcaster.
Media today too, since,
Yeah, and I have to imagine something that you just touched on, the fact that I would imagine detainees are not coming and going at all hours of the day, that the person identified a very specific time when that van would be there.
And these are people that were probably brought in. I was talking to an immigration lawyer earlier on that says these people were probably picked up last night, within the last couple of days. They probably don't even have an immigration attorney yet. These are people that were just being brought in or taken or brought in from a jail somewhere that had been picked up by maybe Collin County or somewhere else. But we do know that it's a very preliminary stage of the detainee process right there.
In the meantime, President Trump issued a statement on Truth Social saying, in part, the brave men and women of ICE are just trying to do their job.
The brave men and women wearing masks.
The worst criminals out of our country, but they are facing an unprecedented increase in threats, violence, and attacks by deranged radical leftists. A reminder, investigators have not yet released...
Once again, blaming it on leftists.
Rebecca touched on for the attack, and we also don't know the backgrounds of these detainees.
Governor Abbott released a new statement calling the shooting horrific but refusing to be deterred. He wrote, quote, "We will not let this cowardly attack impede our efforts to secure the border, enforce immigration law, and ensure law and order. The Texas Department of Public Safety and Texas National Guard will continue our work with the Department of Homeland Security and ICE to arrest, detain, and deport any individuals in this country illegally without interruption."
Right now, our team is hearing from more political leaders and also from the former head of LULAC. The League of United Latin American Citizens is the oldest Hispanic civil rights organization in the United States.
The political rhetoric, the use
100% not a leftist, and I've got the proof.
And hatred is causing violence.
Coming up tonight at 6, we're going to explore the growing worry within the...
I know you guys are so desperate to claim it was a leftist, but the facts just don't match up with that. Once again, the fact that most of the violence in this country comes from the right. 76% of all domestic extremist-related killings in the U.S. were perpetrated by the right. 4% by the left. But the shooter's brother says he was apolitical. So here is from the horse's mouth. As investigators continued to search for answers following a shooting Wednesday at an Immigration and Customs Enforcement facility in Texas that left one detainee dead and 2 others wounded, the family of the 29-year-old suspect, Joshua Jahn, struggled to process the news. Reached by phone at her home in a Dallas suburb shortly after the deadly incident, but before authorities had publicly identified Jahn as the suspect, his distraught mother attempted but was unable to put her whipsawing emotions into words. "I'm sorry I can't talk to you right now," Sharon Jahn told The Independent while sobbing openly. "I'm sorry, I'm so sorry, but I just can't talk to you now." The first shots rang out around 6:20 a.m. according to authorities. John's body was discovered on the roof of a nearby immigration attorney's office. Police said he died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. John's 65-year-old father, Andrew, is a retired mechanical engineer. By the way, engineers, the #1 profession that produces terrorists. Just throwing that out there. Sharon, also 65 and retired, worked as an administrator of a massage school in Plano. John has 2 siblings, a 26-year-old sister, Kyoko, and a 30-year-old brother, Noah. John was equally distressed over the shooting on Wednesday, telling The Independent that he was not prepared to discuss the situation in any detail. However, it was clear he was just starting to come to grips with what was happening that morning. "I'm still trying to. I'm back and forth with the police. He then hung up. In an earlier interview, Noah Jahn told NBC News that his brother was not particularly political and didn't have strong feelings about ICE as far as I knew. John's voter info shows that he was not registered to any political party. However, law enforcement officials said unspent shell casings located near the shooter's remains had anti-ICE messages on them. This is according to Kash Patel, who is a biased podcaster. I am a leftist. I've never heard a leftist refer to themselves as anti-ICE. At the same time, Dallas Mayor Eric Johnson emphasized that the situation remained fluid while police investigated. Let's be patient, let's remain calm, and let's let our law enforcement partners do their job. This is an active investigation. There are still a lot of unanswered questions, and I want to encourage all of you to exercise a little bit of restraint and allow them to do their job. Yeah, Timothy, I know I'm right because I don't say shit without having evidence to back it up. How am I biased? I'm biased because I read you the source. My friend. Well, first of all, I am biased. I'm biased towards a leftist perspective, and I'm very open about it. But I go through critical thinking. I go over logic when I am analyzing these things. So my apologies that facts contradict your worldview. Sorry, Snowflake. Up yours, woke moralist. We'll see who cancels who.
Up yours, woke moralists. We'll see who cancels who.
Ah, shit. My drops are being stupid tonight. Try again, JP.
Up yours, woke moralists. We'll see who cancels who.
There we go. This was Kash this morning before 7 a.m. local time, and he posted this at 11:47 a.m. Oh, it was last edited at 11:47 a.m. That's why I thought he posted it before that. This is my 11:47 p.m. I'm on, or 11:47 a.m. I'm on Eastern time, so that'd be 9:47 Texas time. This morning, just before 7 a.m. local time, an individual fired multiple rounds at a Dallas, Texas ICE facility. This is not what the director of the FBI does. They do not share out evidence. And what he has done is put the entire investigation and criminal prosecution at risk. And if you want to see justice, right-wingers, you should be incredibly upset that Patel is putting... Not only, like, I assume somebody from the FBI wrote that on the bullets. Look. I have no indication that he's from the right. All we know is the facts that he was targeting detainees, which is weird that he would be anti-ICE and target detainees, and that his brother says he is apolitical. So I only operate on facts, unlike right-wingers. Fucking false flags are stupid. Anyone saying false flag is a fucking moron. And if it's a false flag, then right-wingers are in charge. Then it's Kash Patel and the FBI and MAGA doing a false flag. So, I mean, all the way around, it's a corrupt government. You should be very anti the current government.
Like one hit and hit one back, one more click, but we hit the set an alert when that shit goes live, so she fucking support and hit subscribe. Light one up and take a hit. He does no harm, but he takes no shit. He's the last one standing when the ship is sinking. Let's take another rip for JustinFREAKIN.
Light one up, tip one back. I'm JustinFREAKIN.
Not high enough for this shit.